Carl Jones from the University of Westminster. It's much later for Carl than it is for us here. It is going on midnight. It is midnight where he is at. So our thanks to him for taking such a time out of his deep evening to speak with us on this topic of artificial intelligence and digital media. So you've all had a chance to see the flyer, read Carl's bio, visit his website and the like. So without any further words from me, Carl, please go ahead and begin your presentation at your leisure. And again, thank you for joining us this evening.
Great. Thanks very much, Jason. I'm just going to share my screen now. Hello, everybody from London, England. And let me just share the screen. There we go. Jason, the screen's there?
Yes, it is. That's correct.
It's full screen? Okay.
Yes.
So welcome to my presentation on artificial intelligence and digital media. And I would like to thank Jason and the Diversity Committee of the College of Media at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, for sponsoring this talk and allowing me to present some of my recent research. So who am I? I know on the posters it kind of touched on who I am, but I would like to say that I am an advertising professional. That's my background. I'm an art director background. And I have worked at different agencies in Canada and Mexico. And of course, the head offices were in the States, in New York. So I worked on PepsiCo. So of course, we go to New York to present our work. And right now I'm doing my PhD and I'm doing my research into removing colonial thinking from advertising messaging, and I'm focusing on Mexico. So it's basically called decolonizing advertising. And I am also neurodivergent. I was interviewed for one of Mexico's largest business newspapers, and they asked me about AI and creativity. And what I said was that it's common for many people related to creative areas to have attention deficit disorder or dyslexia. This is the reason why they serve for these jobs. They are known as neurodivergent, which means that people who are neurodivergent brains are wired differently. But usually you will notice that in advertising, they're very able to create short and effective advertising messages. And I believe that artificial intelligence will not be able to mimic this form of idea generation. I am currently working at the University of Westminster in London, and I'm course leader for public relations and advertising, and I teach on digital media. And the University of Westminster is in central London, and I'm also working on the postgraduate MA programs, which are very sort of industry focused and theory focused, where we look at journalism, data and culture, and social change and activism. So today, the structure of today's talk, which would be approximately 45 minutes. First of all, I'm going to define some terms that I'm going to be talking about. Then we'll look at some case studies. Then we'll look at positive and negative aspects of artificial intelligence. And then we will come to a conclusion. What I'd like to say is that we will look at different digital media and artificial intelligence, but I will be looking at it through an advertising lens, since that is my area of study and where I've spent most of my last 25 years in my career. So that's what I know best. And if you guys have any questions or observations on what I'm saying, which is terrific, please write them in the chat. Because of the way the computer's set up, all I see is my screen, and I'm not able to see what's in the chat, which Jason will be monitoring. But please feel free to write comments if you hear something that I'm saying and it stirs something in your brain. So let's start. AI, artificial intelligence, and digital media. So there's this word media. What is media? Well, if you look in the dictionaries or do some research, you will find out the media is defined as the main means of mass communication, which is broadcasting, publishing, and the internet. and is regarded collectively. But also, the plural of the word media is medium. But the way we work in the world of the culture industries, we say media or medias rather than the plural form of medium, but that is the proper word to use. Now, storytelling is a word I'm going to be using a lot as well. And storytelling is the activity of writing, telling, or reading stories. And you can do that through images, you can do that through dance. And if you look at ancient cultures, you will know that they told stories around the campfires. Then there's this other word that I'd be using a lot, which is digital media. And digital media is the means of communication or communicating media that operate within the use of various encoded machine-readable formats. And digital media can be created, viewed, or distributed, modified, listened to, and preserved on a digital electronic device. When I say electronic devices, I'm also referring to your phones or your laptops that you're looking at me on right now. And advertising and public relations use analog and digital media. Now, analog is what we see here, which are posters out on the street, or in Mexico, for example, when farmers sell, they do their own posters that they hand write. And then digital media is stuff that we see online and even TikTok. So let's take a look at this video from
5 essential AI tools to finish work 10 times faster, according to me, an AI avatar. Canva allows you to create social posts and presentations in a few clicks. Select the type of content and customize it with pre-made designs. Uwizard lets you build UI mockups from screenshots. Simply upload a screenshot of a website and the AI will create editable mockups. Synthesia helps you create videos with AI avatars. Simply pick an avatar and type what you want them to say. You can even choose me. Automata helps you turn any text into LinkedIn content. Paste a link and click the logo. Now you have a high-quality LinkedIn post. Otter AI writes meeting notes with real-time transcription. Add it to Chrome and get a meeting summary in seconds. And here are...
So I follow that page called AI Explains AI, and I had no idea that the guy that starts it is an AI robot until this actual TikTok, which I downloaded. But it was very interesting how in that TikTok, it shows you how all these different applications that you can use that are AI based to create your work. Now, advertising, because I'm going to be talking a lot about advertising. The way I define it is a designed communication that reinterprets signs and symbols in order to persuade. What we do in advertising and popular and creative industries is we take a lot of things from popular culture and put them together and sort of hijack them and create new signs and symbols. And the objective of advertising is usually to persuade people how to think or try to influence them in what they buy. There's a Welsh social culturalist, and his name is Raymond Williams. And he says what advertising does is attach new artificial meanings to cultural commodities. So what do I mean by that? Well, according to Williams, he says advertising works as a magic system within which the attempt is made by magic to associate consumption with human desires to which it has no real reference. So what that means is, take a look at this image here. What do you guys think it is? Well, it's not vodka. No, it's water. So when you look at that, it's free. You get it from the tap. So why on earth, if you get something for free, do you pay $2 or more for it in this fancy bottle with a logo on it? Well, it's through the magic of advertising. As you can see, Evian has different types of ads and pays celebrities as influencers. And that will justify why a consumer like you guys will pay $2 for something that is free and you do not have to pay for. Okay, so that's how advertising works, as if Raymond Williams, and he calls it magic. So advertising now is using artificial intelligence to create messages and to target audiences. And do you guys know what AI or artificial intelligence is? If you do have an idea, please go ahead and write it in the chat. I'm sure you've all heard about Chat GPT. So I decided to ask artificial intelligence what you are. So I said to Chat GPT, can you explain AI? So what it said was, sure. AI or artificial intelligence refers to the development of a computer system that can perform tasks that normally require human intelligence, such as learning, problem solving, decision making, and natural language processing. And Italy, a few weeks ago, became the first Western country to ban Chat GPT. And other countries are dealing with this amazing sort of movement. And here in Britain, they are not proposing restrictions on Chat GPT or any kind of artificial intelligence. Instead, what Britain wants is to ensure companies are developing and using artificial intelligence tools responsibly and giving users enough information about how and why certain decisions are taken. And I think that's something very similar to what you're doing in America. However, just across the sea here in Europe, the European Union, which is often at the forefront when it comes to tech regulation, they are very strict in the way they regulate technology, especially in how social media and Facebook is governed here. They have created a groundbreaking piece of legislation on AI known as the European AI Act, which rules will heavily restrict the use of AI in critical infrastructure, education, law enforcement, and the judicial system. So I think the important thing for you guys is how the Europeans will restrict AI in education. So in advertising and PR, we use artificial intelligence to help create messages. And what I want to do now is show you a case study of a brand using artificial intelligence as a creative tool. So please sit back and look at this case study from Coca-Cola. Sophisticated as it sounds, this campaign is just the beginning for Coca-Cola. Global Chief Marketing Officer Manolo Arroyo explains, we see many applications of artificial intelligence, including content creation, and rapid iteration, hyper-personalizing content and messaging for consumers and customers, and driving two-way conversations with consumers. So Coca-Cola is embracing artificial intelligence like many capitalist corporations that we have here in the States, and here in Britain. Now, Heinz Ketchup, which we all know, there's an advertising agency in Canada called Rethink, and they have embraced this idea of artificial intelligence creating images. So what they did is, after using advanced image generator DALL-E 2 to research for everything from ketchup scuba diving to ketchup in outer space, they found that a lot of results look just like bottles of Heinz because of the silhouette. So Heinz fans got involved by sharing their own suggestions for ketchup image prompts, with the best ones being turned into social post and print ads, helping Heinz to create the first ever ad campaign with visuals generated entirely by artificial intelligence. So we've seen two big global brands, Coca-Cola and Heinz, that have embraced this idea of using artificial intelligence to generate advertising messages and also generate conversations. So take a look at those ads. Very interesting, very colorful, very nice, and very original. But one thing I think is important for us to remember is that it is still humans directing the artificial intelligence and making the decisions. It is a tool that needs humans to create. So how does AI collect data? Well, it uses these 5 different sort of methods. The first one is data scraping, which involves using automated software to extract data from websites and other digital sources. The next word, sensors. Many AI applications rely on sensors to collect data about the physical world, such as temperature, humidity, and movement. Third category is user input. AI systems can collect data directly from users through input devices like keyboards, microphones, and touchscreens, or public data sources. Some AI applications use publicly available data sources, such as government databases or social media platforms, to collect data. And finally, the Internet of Things devices. Lots of devices or Internet of Things devices are connected to the internet and can collect and transmit data to AI systems, such as data from smartphone devices or wearable health monitors. Once the data is collected, AI systems can analyze it to identify patterns, make predictions, or gain insights that could be used to improve the performance of the system or inform decision-making. So what I want to do now is concentrate on one of these ways AI collects data, which is sensors. And I want to look at the case study of IKEA and the technology, or the neuromarketing technology, of eye tracking that works with AI to look for patterns. So neuromarketing is something that we use in advertising as a commercial marketing communication field that applies neuropsychology to marketing research, studying consumers' sensor, motor, cognitive, and affective response to marketing stimuli. So basically, what neuromarketing does is put sensors on people's brains when they look at ads or on their eyes, and then uses that information to understand how the advertising works. And big brands like PepsiCo, Disney, Intel, CBS, and ESPN do use neuromarketing. And what I want us to do now is look at this case study of IKEA and how they use eyeglass technology to record data and look for patterns.
We are at IKEA Barkarby, just outside Stockholm, Sweden.
Hej, kan vi få ställa några frågor till dig?
Imagine if you could see what your customers see, what insights that would hold. Today we get the opportunity to follow one of our customers on a journey through the store. With eye tracking, we get an amazing opportunity to understand shoppers' attention and shopping behavior. Recruitment and screening can be based on existing segmentation or other categories according to IKEA's requirements. After a pre-interview and a quick and easy setup, the customer is ready to go. The red dots that you see represent exactly what the customer is looking at. The customer is now walking around IKEA, going about his errands, and at the same time giving us valuable information. Eye tracking provides a dynamic understanding of how shoppers navigate or browse through the store. Another customer's IKEA shopping bag with wood hangers attracts attention. A few minutes later, he reaches a bin of hangers and instantly picks up a pack. Let's stop for a moment and look at his eye movements. The gaze plot visualization shows that it is the product that attracts the customer. First, after finding the product, does the price sign become interesting. We can gather detailed information about what visual elements shoppers actually notice, what elements they use at different stages in the decision process, and how they interact with exposed products. Floor signs can be very effective in guiding the customer and making the shopping journey easier. The eye tracking data shows how effective signage is in terms of attention and discovery. Showing price on the product itself can attract attention. But real-world shopper studies might also reveal when small signage with product and price information can be relevant for the customer's purchase decision.
So there we have the case of eye tracking. And then these are some published academic papers that talk about the research of eye tracking and artificial intelligence and how it's used to record and gather information. Now, also eye tracking is used when people look at ads. So what's on top of these ad of a woman and shampoo is a heat map. So where the parts in red, those are the parts where the eye goes to a lot when people look at these ads. And the parts in green are where the eye doesn't go that much. And these are two different ads. Can you see what the difference is between them? Well, in the left-hand side, the eye is looking at the product. So that area is red. It's creating a lot of tension between the eyeball and the product. Whereas if you look in the right-hand side, you will see the model is looking directly at the camera and she is not looking at the product. So the human eye is not really interested in this image, maybe reading the headline and looking down at the product, but there's no direct correlation between the model and the product. So we know that that ad on the left generates a lot of eye movement in specific areas. And we know that having the model looking at the product is better than the model looking directly at the consumer. And also eye tracking could be used for websites. So this is a heat map of Facebook. And of course, the human eye goes up to the upper left-hand side and looks at the image and then scans over to look at the text. So it hangs in that area. So eye tracking is great mixed with AI, and they look for patterns. So if you get a lot of people wearing the glasses, then AI can take all that information and then give you the data. So now let's take a look at some more case studies where artificial intelligence has been used. Amazon Go, the American company, has stores, and I think they're in Chicago as well, called Amazon Go. And those are stores that you walk into, you scan your user ID, and once you're inside the store, there are scanners that measure your face and also your movement and knows which products you pick up and leave, and you don't have to scan them. The store has done that and then charges you when you leave. So that is how AI has been used by Amazon Go. In China, they have the Chinese version of Amazon, and it's called Alibaba. And we're going to be looking now at a case study video of how Alibaba is using AI in creating products and also running cities.
Earlier this year, the Alibaba Cloud Service launched a traffic management system called CityBrain. It uses artificial intelligence software and helps Chinese governments manage public transportation, security, and environmental monitoring. Now Alibaba is stretching its reach from cities to rural areas with agricultural brain.
For many years, the countryside has been forgotten by the technology. And to be honest with you, I mean, China, especially China, is a big country dependent upon agriculture, dependent upon the modernization of countryside.
Modernization is playing a role in the development of this melon. Just a quick scan of its QR code and we know it's 90% mature and ready to eat.
We deploy all the sensor network and also the video camera to capture the image and the video footage.
But this advanced system goes beyond just recording video. It's also about analyzing and applying the data. Alibaba launched a pilot run using this pig farm. The firm farmed and raised pigs over a 6-month period. Each pig was given a digital ID. The data was then archived, used to detect sick hogs and what's ailing them, and help improve the overall breeding environment. The goal, to increase a sow's production by 3 more newborns a year. Alibaba Cloud's president said in the future, what we'll want is a good pig that runs 200 kilometers instead of weighing 200 pounds. The agricultural brain also reaches from the farms to our fingertips. The system makes the data available digitally, allowing farmers to better track the entire production chain. New tools to help solve age-old problems. Francis Ko, CGTN.
And now Alibaba has done their own version of the software Chat GPT. And of course, the Chinese government has now created rules to govern their Alibaba's new Chat GPT rival. And what the government is doing is requiring that content generated by Chat GPT rival Alibaba respects core socialist values. So it reflects what the political party wants. So what do you think is negative about AI technology? Please write in the chat if you have any ideas about what you think is negative about AI, because what I've been talking about recently has been all the positives about AI and how great it is to be used. Let's take a look at this case study video. This is about, this has just been released. I only saw it like 2 days ago, and it's set in Ukraine. What's interesting about that advertisement is that it focuses on the negative Chat GPT, is that it only collects data up until 2021 and doesn't have any new information. And they were able to take that insight and create this call for help for Ukraine. Now let's look at issues with artificial intelligence. And I'd like you to think about this concept called the digital gaze. And I define the digital gaze as visual computer program content that arrives to the consumer via free applications that is broadcast on electronic devices. The digital gaze is the relationship that someone enters through interacting with an electronic device, where the consumer trusts the technology and the solution it offers. We all spend, like over $1,000 on our laptops and on phones, and we trust a lot the information that is delivered to us from those devices. So that is what I refer to as the digital gaze. And this is an example of a poster campaign from Israel. And the headline says, "We asked AI to draw a CEO in countless ways and haven't received even one image of a woman." And this is what the ad looks like in full. The world is moving forward, leaving women behind. So I think what's interesting about this ad is that it's sort of revealing that artificial intelligence is biased. And in this case, when you type in the word CEO, it doesn't show females. You can say, "Show me a CEO as a wrestler," and it will show a male, not a female. And you can try different ways of asking, but it will always give a male. And you have to specifically say, "Give me a woman as a CEO," in order to get an image of a woman. That campaign was also done with the word president. So when they asked AI to draw a picture of a president, they did not get images of women. And also when they put in the word doctor, up came images of male doctors, not one image of a woman. So very interesting experiment that shows the limits and the bias of artificial intelligence. In Mexico, they have just launched the campaign through United Nations through the division called UNESCO. And this campaign launched from Mexico against racism and discrimination biases on digital platforms and services. And it goes on to say there are issues such as misinformation, racism, discrimination, hate speech in the daily use of technologies, communication platforms, and simplified AI, which is used daily in workplaces, schools, and homes, such as virtual assistants and internet search engines. So if you go into Bing, and Bing is using AI now, and you put in the words "familias feliz," which in Spanish means happy families, up will come in Mexico images of people with light skin or people that look European. And you will not see images of people of color. However, in Mexico, 90% of the population are people of color. So why is the software, why is AI selecting, why is it biased towards lighter skin? Then, of course, when you put the word pobreza into Bing in Mexico, and pobreza means poor in Spanish, you will get images of people of color. And you don't see people with lighter skin there. You'll have people with darker skin. So again, this reflects the bias and of artificial intelligence and software and algorithms, which is what that campaign from UNESCO and United Nations in Mexico has been launched on, those insights. Then, of course, I know that you guys have talked about this case at your university, which is Levi's, which is a great company that has said that they will test artificial intelligence generated clothing models to increase diversity, which sounds great. But then when you start analyzing it, it also raises the question of how many real models would be impacted by this experiment. So Levi's has been trying to cut costs. So if they have models that are generated by a computer, they don't have to pay model fees or actor fees. And that raises questions of the future of using AI to replace humans. So that means actors and models will not get, human ones will not get paid because they'll be replaced by this. And especially, if Levi's wants to increase diversity and use people of color, and it uses AI, then that money does not go to people of color. So it raises quite a few questions, this initiative. Here in Britain, Getty Images is suing the creators of an artificial intelligence art tool called Stable Diffusion for scraping its content. In a press statement shared with The Verge, which is a web blog, the stock company said it believes that Stability AI unlawfully copied and processed millions of images protected by copyright to train its software, and that Getty Images has commenced legal proceedings in the High Court of Justice in London against the firm. So what happens is, you know, I've been showing you like the Coke campaign and the Heinz, where illustrations have been created. Well, if you ask AI for photography, what AI does is go out and scrape and search the internet and gets images to build something that we're looking at now, which is like this really interesting image of I'm not sure whether it's American football or baseball. And you can see that the watermark of Getty Images appears there. So that proves that this AI is looking at images that Getty owns and is using them to create this image. So it also raises the question of copyright, and should the AI company that's creating these type of images be paying money to Getty, who owns the original, some of the original parts of this image. Now, another conversation that I think is important for us to have is AI and jobs. I know when you guys signed up for this talk today and you got to write questions, quite a few of you were asking about AI and jobs and how it will affect you. So what I believe is that in order to predict the future, we need to look to the past. And what I did was did some social listening, and I went and looked at news reports that were created in the 1980s when a new technology called the computer was put on the market. Now, advertising as an industry embraces always new technology. And in this news article written in 1981, it says, rapid technological development will displace millions of workers this decade, but those who have computer or related training will have the best chances for survival. Then below it says, computers are and will be a growth industry in this country, and there will be millions of computer jobs, but we shouldn't just focus on that. What we see is a large displacement of many people as more computers and computerized robots are brought into the workspace. So that's what they were saying in 1980. Then also at that same time, I don't know whether you guys know who this person is. Some of the older people here may, and some of you people who are into 80s music may. This is Barry Manilow. So the Musicians Union outlawed synthesizers in 1982. And the reason this was done was because of Barry Manilow. In 82, the singer decided to go on tour with a selection of synth players rather than the orchestra that he usually worked with in his concerts. And when the music union caught wind of this decision, its members began calling for an outright ban of synthesizers to protect the jobs of string players. In May 1982, the union passed a motion causing outrage among the music community. Few were more upset than the synth players themselves, who decided to form a rival organization called the Union of Sound Synthesis. So my point is that when this new technology, which is a synthesizer, and what a synthesizer does is can imitate different types of instruments. On the synthesizer, you can play a piano, you can play a violin, you can play a guitar. It can be programmed to do that. And so what Barry Manilow thought was that he did need to have the real person playing it. He could just have one person playing it on this device called a synthesizer. And this is how the world reacted, in the music union reacted. Now there's this news article, and the title of it is The Rise and Fall of the Ad Man, How Digital Technology Has Changed Advertising. And what it basically talks about, and also part of my personal experiences related to this, when I started in advertising in the 1980s, I was at school, and then I started working in the business, computers and internet started being invented and embraced by advertising. And in the advertising industry, there were people that did not learn. So when computers were introduced to the office, copywriters wanted to use their typewriters and not embrace the computer. Art directors wanted to work on paper and not on their computer. And those are the people who ended up leaving the industry. And the people that stayed were the ones that learned and embraced the new technology of the computer and internet and learned how to use them. Now, it's important that we consider with artificial intelligence, it may draw images, but it takes a human to come up with the original thought and craftspersonship. It takes a human to sort of craft it and make it what it is and come up with the original idea. The computer has to be told what to think and what to do by a human. So it doesn't replace us. Now, this news article came out a few months ago, but it was in this year, 2023. And it said, creators, will AI take our jobs in 2023? And what they say is that AI generated content may lack the depth and nuances of content created by humans. While AI algorithms can generate ideas and content based on data, they may not have the same level of creativity or understanding of human emotions and experiences as a human copywriter, for example, in advertising. This could result in content that is less engaging and effective in connecting with audiences. So will AI take over the world of creators? Probably not, but it could definitely make our lives a little easier. Don't just let it boss you around too much. Remember, it's your job, not theirs. So let me end this sort of rant about how AI is negative and is taking jobs away. And let's look at AI and how it's being used for the human good. And I have a great case study example here from Europe. It's from the country of Croatia.
The past 3 years have been some of the most stressful for people in Croatia. The country was struck by earthquakes. It ranked 8th in the world in deaths by COVID-19. On top of that, the recent conflict in Ukraine feels too close for a nation that lived through some of the most gruesome wars in recent history. All this resulted in an alarming rise in mental health issues, the highest in recent years. But mental health is not something Croatians talk about openly. That's why this year, Croatia Insurance, the leading insurance company in the country, decided to use their outdoor advertising budget in a completely different manner. We turned all our city lights with built-in cameras into a diagnostic tool, providing people with a simple way to learn about their emotional state and take action. A highly sophisticated AI engine comprising Google Face Mesh and automated facial recognition algorithms calculated in seconds the person's anxiety level to shed light on the dangers of emotional stress and warn Croatians of the consequences of not taking care of their mental health, while immediately sending the most anxious passers-by to free preventive checkups in Croatia Insurance's top clinics. The results?
Konačno smo počeli pričati o problemu psihičkog zdravlja, to je jedan od onih problema koje svi primjećuju, ali niko ne govori o njemu.
Pa ljudi su doslovce stajali u redu da ga isprobaju.
Nekad su ljudi čitali oglase, a danas evo oglasi čitaju ljude.
The AI anxiety meter will continue to be available in Croatia Insurance's app, free for everyone. Croatia Insurance, one less thing to worry about.
So to conclude this presentation on artificial intelligence and digital media, some of the things that I talked about today is that technology can be positively used to help create communication, but also can reflect negative attitudes such as misogyny, as we saw in the Israeli campaign. Nations are creating rules so that we can manage AI. And I talked about what Britain and Europe is doing and China. This is not the first time technology has impacted advertising. And I believe that in order to predict the future, we need to look at the past to understand how jobs will be affected by AI because of the ways that technology has come into the creative industries market. Once you leave school, I think this is very important for you students there. You never stop learning. Sorry, guys, but when you graduate, that's it. Once you go into your jobs, you need to learn new skills to keep up to date. And what you're learning in school is worthwhile, definitely. It's a great toolbox, but you'll need to add to that toolbox by new skills that you'll learn outside the university by taking extra courses or by learning them on your job. And I recommend that you embrace artificial intelligence. It is a tool that is here to stay. And as we sort of learned from the case study of sort of computers, when they came into advertising, it was the people that embraced the computer that were the ones that stayed in the business. And I think it will be the same with artificial intelligence. And it's also important to ask ourselves questions about artificial intelligence, like how can we ensure that artificial intelligence is used ethically and responsibly? How can we ensure that security and privacy of personal data in AI systems is protected? And how can we ensure that artificial intelligence is accessible and inclusive for all individuals, regardless of their backgrounds or abilities? So that's the Terminator, in case you guys didn't know, but that's the end of my lecture. And if you want to follow me on social media, I would advise that you follow me on Twitter at Carl W. Jones, or on Instagram, on LinkedIn. And now we will open up for questions. So I'm just going to unshare my screen. There we go, Jason.
Well, fantastic, Carl. Thank you. Thank you so much for that very engaging and intriguing talk. We've got a ton of questions that were placed in the chat. We only have about 10 to 15 minutes left, so we'll get to as many of these as we can. I'll take them largely in order. One of the first questions that was asked about was about the Coca-Cola advertisement and its utilization of AI imagery. And the question was, could that be some type of FTC, Federal Trade Commission violation, since it could be considered false or a misleading advertisement based on the materials that were used, for example?
So the way I'm interpreting that question, Jason, is related to Getty images. In that case, I talked about how the AI gets the information to create those images. So it could be, and that is what's being discussed in different cities around the world right now. I don't have the answer. I think it's up to the lawyers to deal with it. But I think also that case I talked about of Barry Manilow, where they had a piece of technology that could reproduce somebody playing the violin, and the union freaked out and wanted to ban them. So I really don't know what the answer is. I think we need to see what happens in the different cases. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Getty in London, with their suing that AI company.
Well, and moving a little bit past the legal, perhaps, one of the questions, a number of the questions have been around the idea of creativity and the production, and the question being, do you think that apps, things like Adobe Firefly, which was recently released, are harmful for creativity, are harmful for production, are harmful in terms of the things that we produce in the industries that we service in this college, advertising, journalism, and media and cinema?
When I've been speaking, I think that's a great question. Thank you. I think when I speak to professionals who are working in the industries of advertising or journalism, when I discuss these types of tools, they say that they are using them, and it's not, in their opinion, the people who are working in the industry, they say that it is not replacing them. They see it as a tool to use I think in some of our research, we're going to see that some jobs will be lost and replaced by AI, but those specific things that you're talking about, not really. I think we need to look at AI as a tool that we can use, not as something that will replace us.
Do you think that another question that we've received is, do you think that companies, agencies, media entities and the like, do you think that companies are viewing AI as a potential investment, as something that can be profitable, or do they view it as more of a cost-cutting opportunity?
Well, I think that case of Levi's that I showed, I think Levi's motivation was not diversity. I think it was more saving money. And or maybe it's a bit of both. They were trying to be diverse and then save money at the same time, so kill two birds with one stone. I think in the capitalist world in the West, we're run by capitalism, and money talks, and money does control a lot of decision making. I think in Europe, which is a bit more socialist based, we'll see how they handle AI, and whether they will allow AI to run as free as it does, say, in Britain or in the States and Canada. I guess we have to see. We're at the beginning of a new era, and all we can do is kind of predict, but we don't know for sure.
On that prediction, one of the questions, a set of the questions that we've received have been around the concept of privacy and consumer privacy. So say, for example, even with the Croatia insurance example at the that you showed at the end, that's a person to some extent releasing some of their health information. So how do you see or envision AI as increasing or decreasing perhaps the privacy of users across a variety of platforms?
Yeah, very good question. A great area to explore. I think it depends on the laws. And one of the sad things I think that makes me irritated is that governments usually react out after something bad has happened. The governments anywhere are very bad at predicting where the world is going. They always wait for something bad and then they create laws after it. So we have to hope that insurance companies that are collecting data and health data on consumers are not going to abuse that knowledge. But we know that sometimes that is abused, as we found with Edward Snowden and what happened with him revealing information about Facebook and social media and the American government. So I really don't know. I can't control companies, but there is a possibility that companies could leak or be hacked and have information spread that you don't want spread about yourself. So it is a possibility, yes.
One of the questions that we received was on information was just released. The Republican National Committee released an ad here in the United States, released an ad in response to President Biden's announcement today that he is going to run for president in 2024. And their ad was 100% AI generated. And CNN called it the beginning of AI used in political campaigns. And this audience member wanted your thoughts on that, on what that potentially meant for the future, especially in light of some of the disinformation that we've seen over the years in political campaigning here in the United States. And I'm not calling their ad disinformation, but one of the worries is the potential for disinformation largely surrounding politics and political campaigning.
I think disinformation is not new and it has not been created by technology. Disinformation existed before. People in power do abuse information. So again, it's not a new thing. I just think it manifests itself differently through different technologies. So I'm sure, yes, AI will be used for disinformation, sure. I don't think it's a good thing, but I think it can be. And we will see cases of it, sure, by both sides. Or three sides, or the three sides, however many sides there are of the political persuasion. But it will, because the guys were at the beginning of this new era of artificial intelligence. I mean, it's just everywhere now in the news. Everywhere I turn, I read about it and I see it everywhere on every channel. So again, it was the same way when computers were invented and when the internet was invented and came out. Same thing happened. And these types of questions were asked. Nobody knew the answers. All I recommend is looking at the past and seeing, when the newspaper was invented and what that meant, and when the printing press was invented and what that meant to society. Those are technologies that are now called analog, but those were technologies that were invented that changed humankind. And I think AI is one of those now.
Do you think that in the future students will be taking courses? Another question we've received, that in the future that students will be taking courses specifically in AI and its relation to marketing, or AI and its relation to any of our various areas of study in university?
Yeah, I think they should. I think it takes a while for a course to be created, but I think, companies and the industries are embracing AI. So I think we need to train students in it, so that they're prepared when they go into their jobs. Sure. And I think we will see universities and schools offering AI courses specifically for marketing and how to use the tools. Sure. But it's a tool. That's what AI is. It's a tool for humans to use. That's how I see it right now.
Do you think that that's the way it's being presented to the average person? Or do you think that the average person, as they encounter these stories, see it more as, you ended with Terminator, with an image from the Terminator? Does the average person see it more as, Skynet, the beginnings of Skynet, for those of you that recall that from the Terminator films, that we're giving a realistic picture these days of what AI actually is in practice versus in the imagination?
I think it depends on the media channels and where you get your information from. Some media channels are doom oriented, so AI is the enemy and is there to ruin and take away your job, and other channels, media channels, are embracing it. So I think one depends on the people you surround yourself with and where you get your information from, and how it influences how you think.
Mm-hmm. Do you think towards that end it's possible to, since it is a tool created by, maintained by, run by human beings with all of our inherent biases and stereotypes and the like, and this will be our last question, do you think it's possible to create an AI system that lacks those human biases?
Well, it depends, because what it seems AI, well, not all AI, but like Chat GPT and also Bing, what it does is go out and scrape the internet and take what we're thinking. So it takes what the majority of the people are doing and thinking, as we learned from that Israel campaign. So AI automatically had the bias of selecting males when certain jobs were presented. So algorithms and the people that create algorithms are putting in their biases. So maybe we need to be aware of that and hire people who are a bit less biased, and also who reflect new ways of thinking, that like we think in universities and the academic world. I think academia is a great way, is a great place where new ideas are explored. I think they should hire more people, or at least go to academia and ask academia for their advice on certain things like AI, where it's going and where it's getting its information from.
Well, thank you, Carl. We are up against the time limit. I know it is 1 o'clock in the morning almost for you there. So thank you again for taking time out of your very late evening to spend with us, to inform us, to talk to us about AI and its potential impact upon the future industries, the industries that we serve and support here in the College of Media. So, and again, my thanks to all of you in our audience. For my students in ADV 175, please look on the website for where you should be submitting your questions for our assignment from this experience this evening. But again, let's extend our thanks to Carl Jones for spending time with us and being so informative to us and engaging to us here in the College of Media. So again, thank you on behalf of the students, faculty, and staff of the college, as well as the broader University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. So thank you, Carl.
Great. It was a big pleasure, and thank you very much for inviting me. I really enjoyed being able to present this way of thinking to you guys, and hopefully it opened up some minds and opened up many questions for you. Hopefully good things. So thank you very much. You guys have a great evening there over the pond.
Fantastic, Carl. Go ahead and get some sleep. Thank you again so much.
Okay. Bye. Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye now.